6:31 past the hour. The White House says President Obama will veto a sweeping defense spending bill later today because of how the measure was funded. The administration is opposed to any increase in military spending if it doesn't also come with an increase in domestic spending. The bill circumvents the cap on military spending by adding billions to a separate warfighting account. The White House called it a, quote, funding gimmick, while Republicans said a veto would be irresponsible political games. All right, we'll be following that. Joining us now, Chairman of the House Homeland Security Committee, Republican Congressman Mike McCaul of Texas. Good to have you on board, sir.
Good morning.
Let's check off the list here. First of all, do you support Paul Ryan for Speaker?
You know I do. We're getting ready to meet with him right after this interview. I think he has now, gained the support of the three major factions within our conference, that being the moderate, the conservative, and then, you know, this Freedom Caucus, as they call themselves. I think he got that support last night. So I think he's in a strong position to move forward. And I think he played it right because he didn't want to do this unless he had the full support of all the members of our conference.
Let me ask you about Hillary Clinton's Benghazi testimony that we're looking at today. You said, if I'm correct, in 2013, Benghazi will haunt Clinton if she runs again. Do you still think that's true?
Well, I think it is. I was one of the last ones to question her on the Foreign Affairs Committee. I urged the Speaker to appoint a select committee because there were too many different agencies involved and too many different committees. And I think we'll see today what her testimony is. I think the bottom line is we just want to know what happened that day, what her role was, and what we can learn to prevent that from happening in the future. You have 4 dead Americans, including an American ambassador. We don't want that to happen.
Congressman, is there a central point that you'd like to see answered at the end of this day having to do with the security, or clearly the lack of security, at the consulate in Benghazi? Is there a central point that you'd like to see answered?
The question I'd like to see answered, and I asked it when I was on the when I questioned her last time, is with so many warnings, there were so many warnings prior to 9/11 on the Benghazi attack, and we knew that the terrorists were there. We knew the ambassador was going to Benghazi on 9/11, a post, a consulate outpost, if you will. And why wasn't more security provided, particularly when an emergency cable we know was sent by the ambassador to the State Department? It was a cry for help, and that cry for help went unheeded and unfortunately resulted in this tragedy. And so I'd like to know who knew about this emergency cable. Did she know about it? And if she did know about it, why didn't they provide more security?
Nicole Wallace.
Congressman, help me, because I feel like the Democrats have been effective in tainting Congressman Gowdy's work as politically motivated because of the comments by Kevin McCarthy. So help me, give me your best comeback or your best swat down of that accusation, because I know that Congressman Gowdy his history is as a prosecutor, and I know that he really has been on a fact-seeking mission, on a truth-seeking mission, but I feel that the Democrats have gained the upper hand in terms of tainting their work as politically motivated. How do you respond to that?
Well, I agree with you. I don't think Kevin McCarthy's comments were helpful. He apologized for that. I think it was just one of these heat-of-the-moment interviews. I've talked to Trey Gowdy. I know him well. He's, like me, a former federal prosecutor. You don't play politics with something like this. What you want to do is make it a fair and impartial hearing, and if you don't do that, you lose credibility. I did the same thing when I conducted the Rangel trial on the ethics matter. I mean, the best thing they can do is keep this fair and impartial, above the fray, not a political exercise, because any optics of partisanship, I think you instantly start to lose credibility. And so I hope you'll see today, with the members on the committee, a very professional line of questioning.
All right, Congressman Mike McCaul, thank you so much. We appreciate your being on the show.